Hi, it's Dwyer, gamblersadvisory.com, here with some last minute thoughts on Cotto versus Margarito 2, a fight which is now less than 48 hours away. Remember, the opinion you should follow should be your own. Just consider this video to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online. The bet I like the most on this fight, let me just say, I consider Antonio Margarito, who right now is a plus 190 in some books, almost a 2-to-1 underdog. I consider him to be the most likely winner of this fight. The way I'm playing it is I like the under 10.5, where you get something like a plus 130 if either fighter wins the fight before the halfway point of the 11th round. You actually get better than even money. I understand the lines move several different ways in the last 12 hours, but that bet is too intriguing for me to pass up. I like that bet straddled against Margarito to win. Why the straddle? Simply because when a casino is offering you a plus 190, I think you have to consider taking it. And since I believe that Margarito is going to repeat the performance that he had in the first fight, I like that straddle. So I like the under 10.5 straddle against Margarito to win. Understand the risk. If Miguel Cotto, before a crowd that should be a Cotto crowd, it is in New York City, and Miguel Cotto is the current king of Madison Square Garden, having fought several fights, including the fight against Zab Judah at the Garden, and having also fought at Yankee Stadium. Cotto's very popular in New York City, right? Understand the dynamic. What I'm saying is I don't think that Miguel Cotto is going to be able to get a decision. If he does, you lose it all if you follow my advice, okay? Even my cat is growling at that bet possibility. But let's continue. All of that said, let's talk the mechanics of the fight, and let's try to ignore plaster. Let's just talk logistics in this video, right? First, let me say there's a hole in Antonio Margarito's game, and it's going to be evident from the opening bell, just like it was in the last fight. First, Antonio Margarito is slow. He doesn't have great hand speed. Miguel Cotto has a huge hand speed advantage on Antonio Margarito. Cotto, if he wanted, could get off 2 to 3 shots to every punch that Margarito throws. Right? That's the first problem. The second hole in Margarito's game is that he loops his punches. He's predominantly a hooker, right? He throws hooks with both hands, and quite frankly, he throws them at wide angles, too wide for the frame of this video. The way he compensates for the wideness is he throws uppercuts down the middle, and he'll throw body punches, right? And so what he does is he's throwing wide punches, but you can't just step to the side on the punch, because then he'll step in and he'll throw an uppercut right down the middle. Now let's think about Shane Mosley for a second. Shane Mosley destroyed, that's the only word I could use, Antonio Margarito. Now Mosley is a slugger masquerading as a boxer. I've said this in numerous videos. Let me also say that, by the way, about Saul Alvarez. That's another video for another day. But Mosley is a slugger masquerading as a boxer. Mosley doesn't have a lot of head movement. When Mosley's in with a technician like a Vernon Forrest or a Floyd Mayweather, and they actually box for prolonged periods of time, quite frankly, the technicians start to spank him. But against Antonio Margarito, Mosley figured out that if he hunted Margarito, if he came forward on Margarito, if he got inside of Margarito's wideness, if they both started to throw a punch at the same time, Shane Mosley's punch would get there first. So if you look at that video, you're going to see that Mosley is literally going hook for hook with Antonio Margarito, right? And that's Shane Mosley at his best. Forget the combinations, forget the Sugar Shane nickname, because Mosley isn't Sugar Ray Robinson or Sugar Ray Leonard. What he is a guy who hits awfully hard. He's a very hard puncher. And he just decided that he was faster than Margarito. He threw the shorter punches than Margarito, right? Margarito's not just wide. His punches come from way out yonder, right? Shane Mosley figured out that he throws the shorter punches than Margarito, and he literally just came in to a shootout knowing he had the quicker trigger, right? Of course, to do that, Mosley had to pursue Margarito. He's the one coming forward in that fight. Now let's talk about ways great fighters in history have gotten around uppercuts like Margarito's uppercut. One of the best fighters in history, Boxing Hall of Famer, one of the hardest punchers in history, pound for pound, was the old mongoose, Archie Moore. And what I like with Archie Moore is he literally developed his own game. He was outside the box. He developed his own game, his own defensive theories. And one of them was his defense, right? Most fighters fight like this. Archie Moore fought like this, right? Let me just point out that one of the people he taught this defense, you've seen it before, was George Foreman. George Foreman is an Archie Moore disciple. Foreman's interesting too because Foreman also trained with Sonny Liston, hence you have Sonny Liston's jab coupled with Archie Moore's defense in George Foreman's game, right? The beauty of this is that when you come inside and your opponent throws an uppercut, it hits your arm, right? You have it blocked, right? Not only that, if you turn it sideways like this and you're fighting an orthodox fighter, this hand actually blocks the right hand, right? In other words, rather than fight like this, which most trainers teach you to do, Emmanuel Stewart, Teddy Atlas, if you fight like this, you literally are able to diffuse the uppercut, right? And so you'll notice Evander Holyfield will come in, and when he's fighting a Mike Tyson or some other fighter who could drop the shoulder and get the uppercut off, he has his hands like this, then he'll go like this, right? Evander takes it one step further. Because he has your uppercut blocked, he'll literally take that extra step in. So he's so close to Mike Tyson that Mike Tyson accused Evander of headbutting him. Think about it. Here he is fighting Mike Tyson, dangerous Mike Tyson, and Tyson thought that Evander Holyfield was too close to him. Tyson was accustomed to people either hugging him all fight, like James Bone Crusher Smith, or running away from him. Now, Miguel Cotto, all I'm saying is this. Unfortunately for Cotto, he doesn't have this Archie Moore defense down. In my opinion, he doesn't know how to block Margarito's uppercut on a regular basis, right? Forget the pads. Look at the fact that Margarito, padded or not, was landing a lot of flush punches that first fight. And it's a bit jarring because Cotto, prime Cotto, The Cotto we close our eyes and see is the fighter who took out Carlos Quintana with devastating lefts to the body, who literally came inside in that fight and destroyed Quintana from the inside out. And so one wonders why Cotto, who's smaller, he's shorter than Margarito, why Cotto doesn't fight in a Tyson, Joe Frazier, Miguel Cotto against Carlos Quintana style most of the time, right? Given that Cotto, like Shane Mosley, throws the much shorter punches than Margarito, and given that Cotto, like Shane Mosley, has a decided hand speed advantage on Antonio Margarito, and given that Margarito has a long upper body and Cotto is a devastating body puncher with his left hand, why doesn't Cotto just come inside, block that uppercut, forget about winning a decision, decide he wants something better, the knockout, and just go to work on Margarito's ribs, let Margarito know that on his best day, he can't match Miguel Cotto in hand speed, right? And the reason why Cotto doesn't fight that style, in my opinion, is because Cotto sees himself as a boxer who beat Shane Mosley, right? He sees himself as a boxer. He doesn't see himself as Mike Tyson and Joe Frazier. And let me just say, that's too bad for him, because he has the skills to beat Antonio Margarito, but he doesn't use them. And the problem is Miguel Cotto, I believe this will be evident from the opening bell, is going to fight this fight on his back foot instead of fighting it on his front foot. He's going to be outside. He's going to be shooting a jab. He sees Margarito as a guy he can outbox easily. Look at his choice of trainer. It's jarring. He's fired Emmanuel Stewart. He's hired the former trainer for the Cuban national team. When you think Cuba, you think elite counterpunchers. You're thinking Guillermo Rigondeaux. You're thinking Erislandy Lara, right? Cuban fighters literally like to counter you and like to outthink and outmaneuver you. So he's going to show up to this fight armed with his back foot, a jab. He's going to try to come in, throw combinations, then back out and slip Margarito's punches. When what he should be doing, quite frankly, is coming in like a Mike Tyson, like Shane Mosley did against Margarito, and he should be trying to destroy Margarito from the inside out, not the outside in. He shouldn't be using his dominant left hand to jab Margarito. Rather, he should be using that dominant left hand to throw left hooks to Margarito's body. Why even deal with Margarito up top? You take away the body and the rest follows. Carlos Quintana, in my opinion, is a better technician than Miguel Cotto, right? Miguel Cotto came in, had the hand speed advantage on him, and imposed his physical dominance on Carlos Quintana. I believe this Miguel Cotto is the Miguel Cotto who fought off his back foot in the later rounds of his fight against Joshua Clottey, right? I believe that Mosley fight may have hurt him because Cotto really does now see himself as a boxer more than a puncher. It's as if Mike Tyson and Joe Frazier were to decide that they could beat guys off their back foot, right? Cotto should be focused on Archie Moore's defensive style, should just be targeting Antonio Margarito's uppercut, should reason that his punches will get there faster than Margarito's hooks, right? His wide punches, and should just say, okay, I'm going to take away his uppercut, forget the jab. I'm going to come in, I'm going to literally get inside, I'm going to smother him like Evander Holyfield did to Mike Tyson. I'm going to block the uppercut, I'm going to get inside his punches, he'll have no leverage if I get really close to him, and I'm going to use my lack of height to my advantage inside, like Tyson, like Joe Frazier. That's just not who he is. And let me make another point too. Andre Ward is a master boxer, right? He actually can dominate you from the outside. He's dominated several elite fighters for stretches of their fights, including Mikkel Kessler, right? Andre Ward can outbox you. You saw Andre Ward against Arthur Abraham. Andre Ward dominated the latter part of that fight. Abraham never had a chance. Andre Ward could beat you from the outside. But when Andre Ward fought a guy who couldn't handle constant inside pressure, when he fought Alan Green, the greatness of Andre Ward is that Andre Ward was able to throw his boxing out of the ring, come inside, and use his inside advantage to dominate that fight. By the way, let me just say, I expect Andre Ward to employ a similar strategy against Carl Froch, who's very shrewd on the outside, but in my opinion, limited on the inside. Right here in this fight, Cotto Margarito, if you see Miguel Cotto early on fighting off his back foot, I believe it's only a matter of time before he gets stopped. I don't care if he's winning the rounds with the judges. I don't care if the crowd is enamored of his combinations and stuff like that. If you don't give Antonio Margarito a reason to stop coming forward, Margarito is going to come forward every minute of the 12 rounds. And Cotto simply cannot maintain the pace of staying outside against a pressure fighter. Before I get a bevy of emails on Cotto's victory over Shane Mosley, let me just tell you, I'm guessing that if any of us sat down with Shane Mosley and looked at a tape of Cotto Mosley, I'm guessing Shane Mosley himself would have no idea why he didn't pressure Miguel Cotto, right? Because Mosley, who thought he won that fight, read his post-fight comments, right? Mosley curiously stayed outside and got outboxed by Miguel Cotto, right? Had Mosley upped the ante like he did against Margarito, it would have gotten interesting. And I think the point with Cotto is I believe Cotto would rather box Margarito than fight Margarito, right? Let me just say, if I'm wrong, if Cotto shows up and decides, hey, I'm going to come inside, I'm going to block the uppercut, he's mine, I'm going to take him apart like Joe Frazier, took apart Bob Foster, right? If he comes in with that attitude, man, good for us, because the under 10.5 will hit, right? If Cotto comes to fight, this fight's not going the distance, right? Somebody's getting a knockout. If Cotto doesn't come to fight, then I believe Antonio Margarito slowly dominates the fight, dominates the later rounds, and likely gets a stoppage, right? If not a stoppage, then I could see a scenario where Cotto survives the fight just to say he went the distance, right? But loses a decision to Margarito. So that's how I see the fight. Let me know what you think. I think Margarito has the upper hand here, just like he did in their first fight. Let me know your thoughts. Leave your comments for me here on YouTube. Visit us at gamblersadvisory.com. And as you watch the fight, just ask yourself, what would Archie Moore do? How would Mike Tyson fight Antonio Margarito? How would Shane Mosley fight Margarito in the rematch? That's how Cotto should fight him. Thanks for watching.